Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about how the wrong coolant destroyed my Tdi'S engine. Let's get started. So when you go to the shop, you naturally, if you're low on coolant, as this car will tell you you're low on coolant, you naturally go and pick the cheapest coolant up. Am I right? Especially if you have money problems. However, imagine to my surprise after buying the vehicle, opening up the tire well area and finding this bottle of coolant. Now this is green cheap coolant, which is kind of like Chinese coolant that obviously you should never be putting in your car, let alone a German engineered vehicle, because then you're just asking for trouble. So imagine after fixing up all the water leaks, etc. So this coolant left a destructive wake on all the aluminium that was on the engine. Let me explain. So first, it ate up my trans oil cooler that failed. Put a new one in. Then I also had an issue after replacing all the pipes that where coolant was pushing out of the top bottle. So I also ended up replacing the oil cooler, which had a small leak and was heavily corroded. Then replacing the water pump, which looked incredible. I mean, how does coolant eat up chunks of your water pump? That's insane. However, it must be noted that the water pump never leaked. It still worked fine for some odd reason. And thereafter, replacing all of that, I discovered that everything else was all done for nothing. The head gasket was gone. So I gave it to a guy. He stripped the head out. I took it to the machine shop. Machine shop says, I cannot use this head. Now when I say the head, that means the upper part of your engine. So the head has coolant ports. And this coolant ports was allowing combustion gases to go through and come through the coolant and then obviously eject itself out through the water bottle that has a pressure valve. So what was happening was, when the engine was running, the exhaust, the gases from inside the engine was actually escaping through the head gasket. The head gasket is what separates the head from the block, which is the bottom part of the engine. The gases were escaping out and going into the coolant. And from the coolant, because the pressure is quite high, it's actually pushing out through the water bottle. Now looking at this head, you can see that it is irreparably damaged, just like the water pump, where the wrong coolant actually ate up parts of the head. That being said, then I had to go and look for a new head. When I say new, I mean like a used head, because this head was not repairable. If I did go to the process of repairing it, it wasn't guaranteed if it was going to last for a very long time. So I ended up taking the head out, transferring all my other parts over to the new head and putting it back on. Thankfully, after doing the head up, everything went back to normal. Now as you can see, this disaster has costed me around $2,000-$3,000, or about 20,000 to 30,000 rands. For instance, the right coolant for my vehicle is actually called G13 or G12. It's a Volkswagen pink or purple coolant. And they always say that you must always use the right coolant. Otherwise you end up damaging some of your engine components, like all the aluminium parts. This holds true for BMW, Mercedes, Toyota. Basically any brand of car that is relatively new has to have that brand specified coolant. Do not cheap out on your coolant. As you can see, it's going to cost you a lot in the long run, unless of course you sell your car to another person and leave them with the damage to solve. That being said, there is a lesson to be learned here. Never, ever, ever buy a car with a water leak and the wrong coolant in it. You're just aiming for disaster. That's all I have for you today, and if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more daily content. I'll see you around.